Now it is time to introduce our next speaker, California State Assemblymember Shirley Weber. Dr. Weber has devoted her life to education, first as a professor at UCSD, and now as an elected official, working to ensure that all students get the support they need.
Good morning. One more time, good morning. You're in San Diego with the sun shining. This is a good morning. This is a great morning. I want to thank you for the opportunity to just briefly address you this morning. You must be a glutton for punishment to have so many elected officials on your agenda. Asking them each to talk for 5 minutes, which is, almost like an impossibility for an elected official, especially when you want them to talk about your agenda, their agenda, and what the world is all about. So I'm going to do my best to talk about a little bit of that, but hopefully to give you some inspiration for what you're doing. As Simon pointed out, I've spent the last 44 years as a university professor, lecturer, an educator, and now working in the assembly, adding on to that. And so, old story is that I have chalk dust on my soul, that it's difficult to change. But when I say that, young people don't know what the heck I'm talking about because they don't know chalk anymore. But it means, young folks, that I have a deep and abiding commitment to education and the importance of education in the life of California and what we hope to do in California. I'm a kid who came out of the projects of Los Angeles. My father was a sharecropper in Hope, Arkansas, who came to California because there was no hope for black people. And came to California because he knew this was a place that had a great educational system, that his children could get wonderful opportunities, and that education really is a transforming institution or the transforming element in the life of individuals. And he was absolutely correct. He was denied an opportunity to go to school because of the racism in the South, but he wanted his children to have the best education possible. And we came to California with an understanding that California had a great K-12 system, had a university system that was affordable, had a community college and a University of California that rivaled any place in the world. And he believed that very strongly. And so did my educators, so did my teachers in the pueblos of Los Angeles who believed it and gave me the best education one could ever have. Kid who comes out of that environment, goes to UCLA, gets 3 degrees by the time she's 26, is a professor at 23. That's a great life. And that's the kind of education and life that we have to ensure for our children. In the process of my education, I also realized that at the school that I attended, there were 2 tracks of folks. There were those of us who were headed toward university and leadership, and there were those who were not headed in that direction. And we used to call that tracking back in the day. And as a result of the impact of tracking, my community rose up against voc education. Some of you know the old voc ed, where people basically learned skills that were limited in their perspective. Careers that they entered would eventually die out because they didn't have the capacity to change and to understand how knowledge was linked together, because they only learned one thing. The great thing about linked learning is that you have broken that mold. You have taken what we had once thought was voc ed in my community, and that we saw as the death kind of thing, and turned it into something much more vibrant, much more relevant, and utilizing the knowledge that our young people have and the knowledge that is necessary for them to have to grow and to develop and to have careers that are unending, which is important. We learned some while ago that there are very few skills we know today that will last forever. And I remember when people told me that, I go, yeah, right, okay, whatever, okay? But now I recognize that's so true, because my computer is smaller, my iPad is even smaller, my iPad is on my wrist right now, and so as the things change and I have to learn new stuff that I resist every day about technology, the fact that whatever job I had yesterday will not exist tomorrow, but I have to have the intellectual capacity to make the adjustment and to change. And so what I'm saying is that you're really on the cutting edge. You have transformed something that we thought was so horrible, which was called voc ed, that really was limiting and had created a caste system in terms of economic development, into something that is open, that is vibrant, that also attracts students who are on their way to college. And it gives young people the choice to either go or not go to college. It makes the choice theirs, not because they have limited skills, but because of the interest level that they have. And so when I look at this, I say to myself, my God, this is wonderful. We talked about it when I was on the school board in San Diego City Schools, when we started Kearney and some other kinds of places to begin to talk about a different kind of voc ed, quote unquote, one that had tremendous opportunity, one that you taught young people algebra and geometry in a different way that made it much more practical for them to utilize that knowledge and those skills to grow and to develop. And so it's great to be in the Assembly where we're really looking at that, where we're looking at what we do, we're looking at different methods of doing it, and hopefully we're looking at it with the concept of success. My greatest passion, as some of you may know, is the fact that we have tremendous opportunity to transform the lives of young people, and we don't always do it. I've been very concerned as I looked at the data that folks have about what's happening in our K-12 system. And I said, and I listened to my community college friends who told me last week that 70% of students who come out of community college, high school, have to be remediated again and again and again. My friend at Trade Tech, who's president of Trade Tech, says 93% of the students who go to Trade Tech are unprepared and they have to take remedial courses over and over and over again without any hope of actually being successful. And so when I look at that and I realize that we have to do something in K-12 that is different, that is vibrant, that has high standards, that motivates our students to learn and help them to understand the link between what they're learning and their future. You're part of that picture. You're part of that story. You're part of the success we so desperately need. As we say, California does not have enough bachelor's degrees that are coming out, that we need to begin to basically train and educate our young people to run California, that we're really in a crisis at this point. And so while we have wonderful community colleges, wonderful CSUs, wonderful UCs, we have to also strengthen and improve our K-12. It is not a choice. It is mandatory that we do that for the sake of California. So let me just say that much of my legislation revolves around doing those kinds of things, but all of my passion and all of my education and love revolves around that. We are engaged in the most significant activity that young people will know, and we know that education truly is the American equalizer. It can take a kid like me from the projects of Los Angeles and put them in positions to do great work at the state of California and across the nation. That's what education does. It is the one thing my daddy told me that nobody could take from me. That once I got it, it was mine to own and possess, and it would basically change the trajectory of my life, and it did. And so when I advocate on behalf of children, it's because I know just how important the work is that you do, just how important the work is that all of us do, that we can never give up, we can never give out, and we can never give in to low standards. We have to continue to work hard to make sure that every child in California has the opportunity, every child in California has the possibility of having their dreams fulfilled, and that we are the people who will help them to achieve it. So once again, thank you for what you do. Thank you for what you do for the kids here immediately and across the state and the nation. And you have the support of the Assembly because we see the amazing work, and we just must continue to do it and multiply it. Thank you so very much, and have a great conference.